Well, this is going to be quick and short because I don't have nearly as much to talk about. I just want to do this just to get a few things out of the way. First off, we got this ice blue Nintendo 64 controller. Now, if you have by any chance seen Watch Us Play, you'll know that we've done some N64 games with 4 players, those being GoldenEye 007, Xena Warrior Princess, The Talisman of Fate, Mario Kart 64, Jeremy McGrath Supercross 2000, Extreme G, and FIFA Soccer 64. In none of those videos was this controller shown, because I did not own 4 N64 controllers for the longest time. You know, I got 2 of them when I first got the system in 2011, then I got one in like February of 2014, and then I got this in 2017. Or was it 2018? Yeah, but my point is, all these years later, I now finally have a 4th N64 controller. Well, what took so long? Well, a number of reasons. One, the price. I got really lucky with this. It was $45 with $2 shipping, which is very good because, as some, and I do mean some, may know, this hobby is fucking impossibly brutal and just awful in this country. At least on eBay. Maybe you're a little more lucky if you're doing shit locally, but on eBay, you know, so much shit has like ridiculous shipping prices to Canada because we're a small, irrelevant country with a shit dollar and all that. Whatever, let's not get too much into that because I don't want to get, you know, hate for that. But it's the truth. Look at this up on eBay, on ebay.ca. Not this specifically, just look up any official N64 controller. So yeah, there's that, and I was also deciding what the color of the 4th controller I would get would be, which I ended up, of course, with the Ice Blue from the Fantastic series. I was, of course, going to get a translucent controller, like I wasn't going to get the solid green controller, so yeah. And buying these locally was also kind of concerning, because a lot of times whenever I've seen N64 controllers locally, the sellers will take it upon themselves to replace the joystick. Now, I can understand that because, as we know, the N64 joystick, you know, it ages, but even so, a lot of these third-party joysticks aren't much better. They're very stiff, awkward, and unnatural in a lot of cases, at least, again, from my personal experience. You know, that was the case with, you know, my friend Fabio. He bought an N64 and a frickin', you know, like, you know, second controller, and it didn't have an official joystick, even though it was an official controller. So that was a fucking annoyance to me. That's why it took me fucking forever to get a controller. But you know what? It's here. About frickin' time. Of course, I want to get 4 controllers for any system that supports it, because, you know, hey, gotta get friends over, play games, all that, and, you know, yeah. Here's yet another Christmas gift. This is the last one, I can assure you. This is WarioWare DIY for the DS. Now, of course, I'm gonna get any Mario game I can. I'm not gonna say no to a Mario game, and of course that includes, you know, the Wario, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong games, and even then, I did not own a WarioWare game until, like, July of last year, when I finally got WarioWare Inc. Mega Party games at Con Bravo. And in the case of this game, of course I was gonna get it. Of course I was, you know. But I was in more of a hurry or rush to get, like, you know, WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Wii or WarioWare Touched on the DS. But you know what? When I got this, like, the store was having, like, you know, buy 2, get the other one. No, I think it was buy one, get the other one, like, 10% off. So instead of paying $20 for this, I ended up paying $10. The other game I got was Hatsune Miku Project Diva F Second on PS3, which I talked about, I think, like 3 episodes ago. So yes, this is, of course, a game where you can customize, you know, your own, well, mini games and stuff. And I very briefly tinkered around with that. I can't seem to get anywhere in it. Frickin' anywhere. I played around with, like, the pre-made custom minigames that the previous owner made, and even then they were dead simple, so yeah. But of course, there's pre-made games that you can play yourself, you know. Got some minigames of, you know, Wario's got his own minigames. Frickin' Ashley's got her own minigames. Played around with those, probably will, because, hey, those seem to be just as good as, you know, I guess any other WarioWare game, because I've played a couple of them, even if I only own 2. So yeah, even though I wasn't really in a rush to get this, it's still cool to have, you know? But when is Waluigi gonna appear in a frickin' WarioWare game, or Wario game at all? We have NHL 2004 on the GameCube. I bought this. This is a 2018 purchase, as was the controller. So I bought this because I saw, the immortal John Hancock's video recently on his GameCube collection, where he has 150 GameCube games. A lot of really good ones too, even like the more obscure ones like Gotcha Force and Project Number 03. And you know what? He also showed a lot of some sports games too. He had like every Madden on the console except for Madden 08, the very last GameCube game. And I was like, you know what? What the hell? Why not? Let's get a frickin' sports game for the GameCube. And even if it's a sports game, it's like whatever. It's fine. Hey, it's fine. I can sit down and play a hockey game. Or I guess a soccer game and whatnot, or a basketball game. And I've said this before, but I don't own many sports games, and not that many even EA sports games. Like most of the ones I have are Mario sports games, or tennis, golf, or bowling games. I think I probably own like 7 or 8 hockey games. So you know what? Hey, it's fine. The GameCube is a system that I, of course, have lots of memories with. So who's to say I can't have some memories with this? Some minor ones, and played a little bit, and it seems like just, again, another competent, sort of well-made, enjoyable hockey game with this goofy-faced, individual on there. So, yeah. Okay, this one I got today. This is Rad Racer on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, this is another one of those games, like the same, like 30 or 40, NES games I heard about all the time, and I was like, back in 2007, 2008, you know what, when I get an NES, yeah, for sure, this game, for sure, Mario 1, 2, and 3, for sure, Zelda, for sure, Double Dragon 1, 2, and 3, for sure, Rad Racer, for sure, Tetris, all that stuff, for sure, freaking Double Dribble, even, which I don't even own that. So, even with people mentioning this and sort of, again, regarding it almost as an all-time classic for the NES, there's also people, I guess, I remember even hearing they had like a freaking sworn vengeance against this game because of its difficulty, and yeah, I could see that, it's definitely slightly aggravating of a game, but you know what, hey, it seems like a well-made enough, arcade checkpoint racer. It had a sequel on the NES, it was made by Squaresoft, of course, has the infamous pause trick, to make sure the timer doesn't go down when you crash and go back on the road. The 3D glasses, that came with it, and the fact that you press select, it can be 3D, which I imagine the 3D doesn't look good no matter what TV you're playing it on. And of course I don't have those 3D glasses. One thing that really surprised me about this game, and I didn't know and I like about it, is that whenever the timer runs out, your car will still go. Like, for example, if you're at like 200 miles per hour, your car will still go until it's 0 miles per hour. I mean, of course, you won't be able to accelerate, but whatever velocity it had, it'll still go. And it will go for a long time, Like, of course, it happens with a lot of other racers, but it goes on longer than most, because, again, if you're at, like, 200, you'll still go for a decent amount of time, and, cross the checkpoint, and there you go, continue racing. So that's one thing I find commendable about Rad Racer, for sure. Okay, again, that was a 2018 purchase. I think I already mentioned that. This is also a 2018 purchase, Super Valise 4. Something that's very special, to have and whatnot, because, well, this is probably now my rarest Super Nintendo game, and even then, it's just an uncommon game, sort of like 6 out of 10 on the rarity scale. Even though my boxed Supernova is probably rarer in of itself, in terms of actual just standard regular-ass games that you see here, I'd say yeah, for sure. And, well, of course I was going to get this, because, hey, I got Valise 1 and 3, I had to shell out a pretty penny for those, because, again, fucking this hobby is impossible in this country, but, whatever. I'm not going to say too much about this, because I think most of what I can say is better saved for a Super Nintendo retrospective, which is what I'm going to do soon. But I will say that, like, the more and more that I've played this, I'm starting to get, better impressions of it. Even, like, because for one thing, this seems to be a more fast-paced game than the other two Valise games. And even with then, you could still go fast because, you could slide and, but here, you can actually legitimately run by double tapping, the direction you're facing. But even then, there's still a lot of stop-and-go nonsense going on because it seems like it's a lot easier to get hit and berated by enemies, and in some cases blindsided by enemies, which is a no-no, but you know what? You play it and you get the feel for it, you know. Maybe not in the same sense as the other Valise games, like in the ones I've played so far, but it's getting better and better is what I'm trying to say. And you know what? I really like, and you know, the music really gets the job done for these levels. And you know, the levels are, even though they're a little bland and flat, there's still something fun about, you know, just running past through them, rocking out to the music and whatnot. Because even if it's not the, you know, even if the music's not outstanding, it's definitely very, very good for the game and just pretty good overall. And, you know, in this game case, it was originally a PC Engine CD game, but it kind of got a, you know, derivative made for it on the Super Nintendo. Kind of like Castlevania Rondo of Blood, how that got a derivative of sorts in the form of Castlevania Dracula X on the Super Nintendo. And then they called it Super Valise 4. Kind of like Super Castlevania 4. See what I'm saying? But yeah, Game Store across me actually had this game for many, many months. And for many months, it was $60 until recently they changed it to $50, and then I snagged it up for them. Because they probably would have been holding on to this for many months to come. So, yeah. Also, in this game, you don't play as Yuko, because Yuko's now like a 30-year-old goddess who entrusts the sword of Valise to some character named Lena, so... Yeah, though, one thing that's actually cool is that if you hold L and R, when you turn on, before you turn on your Super Nintendo, you hold L and R, then you turn your Super Nintendo on, and you keep holding L and R until you reach the game, you'll then, you know, play as Yuko, essentially, or at least a skin of Yuko. You know, the game still acknowledges the character as Lena, but, you know, you'll see what I mean, basically. Okay, alright, so this one is interesting of sorts. I never thought I would see this on the show. You probably never thought you would see this on this show, or any pickup show for that matter. You know why? Because it's a fucking Nuon game. What's the Nuon? Well, this is ballistic for the Nuon. But what is a Nuon? Well, it was, it's commonly referred to as the Samsung Nuon, though I believe Samsung just was one of many companies to distribute this fucking, you know, obscure, miserably failed console of the 6th generation. And, well, it only ever had 8 games for it. It was a DVD player as well, and, this is, of course, the most common thing about the Nuon, because it was packed in with, well, Samsung versions of the Nuon. I have not seen any Nuon game before on eBay. It's possible that maybe Tempest 3000 you'll see on eBay, but good luck finding that fucking Crayon Shin-Chan Korean exclusive Nuon game. So, why do I have this, and how did I get across it? Well, I was at like a Salvation Army, you know, Goodwill kind of place, and they had this in the DVD section. They had it for like $2, and I was like, you know, this, I remember this, holy shit, what the fuck's this doing here? That's kind of cool. So I bought it, of course, for $2, and even on eBay, this goes for like $20, $30, you know, because nobody wants this, nobody wants a Nuon, okay, like... And, you know, you could say that about a lot of systems, because, of course, as we know, many systems are obscure, many systems fail. Many of them really do fail. But even something like, you know, the PC effects, or like the Sharp X68000, or like fucking even the Apple Bondi Pippin, maybe. You know, even like things like that, people would be like, you know what, I'll keep a lookout for games, and maybe every now and then I'll, you know, shell out the frickin' money for it, or even like the FM Towns Marty. Nobody fucking does that with the Nuon. No one. That's why this game is so dirt cheap, not only just because it's common, but, you know, it's just no one cares about it. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm probably going to hold on to it for the time being, and then, you know, sell it off, I guess. So, yeah.